to this to the group also, but because of the encouragement and the warmth that I get from all of you, I think I'm feeling a bit comfortable. And I don't know. Anyway, so let's just before I start, I just want to give a small sort of icebreaker. I know we all know each other to a certain extent, but then still, let's just start. I just want you all to just close your eyes. Just close your eyes gently. And I want you to just pay attention to your breathing. How are you breathing? The way you're breathing. Just focus on your breathing for some time. And you can take a deep breath and be thankful for each breath that you're taking, because there are a lot of people out there who are struggling to, take their own breath, because you know the situation right now. So we should be thankful for each and every breath that we are able to take. Be thankful for being alive. So I just want you to be just focus on that. Breathe in and hold your breath for some time and breathe out gently. And let's just think of be aware of your body and be relaxed. And slowly open your eyes. I was closing my eyes, so I didn't see whether if you were all closing your eyes. I hope you all followed my instructions. So, okay, so I would like any of you to just share what your experience. Who's going to go first? Anybody?
I can do that. So,
yes.
As I started focusing on breathing, I noticed that this is something which we have been taking for granted. Even when I do my workout, when I go for my walks and all, even though I try to consciously take more breath, when we do the same with our eyes closed, it gives a new meaning to it. In the sense it feels more deep, and you actually feel like you are doing something very deep. So I really got, as you said, a conscious way of looking at even something as basic as taking a breath can make us feel contentful. I don't know. I cannot explain that feeling. Thanks a lot for that.
Thanks a lot, sir. My question for you, I have one more question. During this process, did any thought come across you other than breathing? Any other wandering thoughts? Anything? Be honest.
For
Yes.
me,
Yes.
so many thoughts. So many thoughts.
Can you just tell me one thought? To be honest, it's okay. It can be anything.
It's related to what you just said, that a lot of people have trouble taking breath at this very moment, if you consider, and we are never thankful for what we already have. So I instantly remember a situation during my quarantine where I was hospitalized, and that just came as a scene into my head and just vanished. It was like just for moments. And I realized, yes, exactly, we do this every single day, every moment, and yet we are not even thinking how important, how glad we should be, to having being alive.
Thank you, Khandija, for sharing. So my idea was to do two things I had intended by this activity. One is to make you aware of these very basic things that we take for granted, to be aware of your body, your senses and everything. The second thing was to be aware of how your mind wanders. It just, studies have shown that our mind wanders 46.9% of the time. When you have some task in hand, this like 46.9% of the time, you are not even thinking about that task. Have you seen some others? I've seen some comic, strips where they show that there's a baby in the lap, and you're maybe watching TV, and then you're thinking that you're giving a feeding bottle to your baby, but probably you're putting something else into the mouth because you're not being mindful in what you're doing. So being a mother myself, I also sometimes I might be watching all my children. I'll be attending my classes, or maybe vice versa. Maybe they'll be attending their classes, but they'll be having their attention on what is mama cooking over there in the kitchen. So the whole idea is that to be aware of where you are, what you're doing, and to be in the here and now. So this is the whole idea of my presentation. So I welcome you all, and I hope by this icebreaker you are able to understand what I'm coming to at. Okay, so welcome to mindfulness. Okay, so as I told you, there are two ways of saying mindful. One is mindful, you're thinking. So are you full of things in your mind, or are you being mindful? So that is, though it's a very small difference between the spellings, but see, look at the difference. So what I was intending by doing this activity with you was to make sure to tell you that how much our thoughts keep wandering. You know, no matter how hard we try, it keeps wandering, and that's not in our control, because that's the way God Almighty has created it. Because it is a problem-solving machine. Essentially, the brain is a problem-solving machine. So it's always not. It cannot go on sleep mode. You know, it's always thinking. Have you ever thought of? I'll just give you some examples. Okay, I just hope you can relate with me. After a very hectic day, you get to bed, the best spot that we all would love to go and have a cuddle and just go to sleep. That time also, how many of us think of these things? I'll just tell you a few of things that I do. Okay, did I close the door? Did I lock it properly? Did I off the stove, or did I put off the gas? Or is the laundry? Did I take the laundry out of the washing machine? Or have I responded to that mail? You know, a lot of things, umpteen number of things come into your head when you're actually going to sleep. So when you're actually doing something, your mind is full of other things. So your mind acts like a bully. You know, it's keeping on bullying you when you actually want to get some sleep. So this is how we all are. And why is it? Because we are basically in an autopilot mode, right? Our world is so busy that we are so busy with our distractions and stressors and demands that we are often taking a lot of things for granted. So can I ask Deepa, if I could, can I ask you brush your teeth every day in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And so if I ask you, from which side do you start brushing your teeth? Is it the left side or your right side?
This side.
Are you sure about it?
Left, yeah, left side.
Very sure about it. Well, I'm not sure about it. How many of you can really tell me that I start from this side? Do you have any other than Deepa? Anybody else?
No, it's just random. I never pay attention to that. So
Yes. Okay. Now, if I ask you, how many of you would like to drink coffee? All of us, right? But if I ask you how many spoons of coffee, how many? Okay. Okay. It was nice to have you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. So, see, these mundane things in our lives, we take it like for granted because we are on autopilot mode. We are so habituated to doing these things, going to office. You can go to office just by blindfolding yourself. Okay, it's a bit of an exaggeration, but still, you can easily tell, okay, how to go. There will be no doubts about the way, or you don't have to ask your way or something. And even in cooking, if you ask me to make biryani, I'm from Malabar area, so I can easily make it. But if somebody who does not know, she or he will have to look through a lot of recipes. And hi Adya, how are you? Okay, we just started. Yes, we are talking about mindfulness. And before I say what is mindfulness, I would like to talk about what is mindlessness. Okay, so we just started with that. So what mindlessness is all about is the way we do things on an autopilot mode, right? What is autopilot? The flight. You all must be aware of that, right? Once you reach a comfort zone, you go on that mode. So that's how we all do. I think around 40% or 50% of our day-to-day things we do on this mode, because that is the way it is. So if I ask you, how much salt you have put in your curry, you cannot tell me, because it is all, you do it very, mindlessly. So the way we deal with our lives mostly is on autopilot. So that is why we fail to enjoy the journey. We just so much into achieving our, dealing with our day-to-day required life, the hustle bustle and everything, and we lose the joy in between. It's like you're going for an excursion, blindfolded, and then you reach the place, and then what is the fun if you don't see all those things in between, right? The beauty of a journey is in all the things in between. It's not just reaching there. Okay, so I think you can relate when I say all those things. Srisha is joining, I suppose. Okay.
Aima, you continue with the session. I'll take care of the participants. I'll let them.
I thought, yeah. So I was.
Yeah.
Okay. The next slide. I'm not able to move it.
Are you getting pop-ups?
Yeah, I'm getting pop-ups.
Okay,
Yeah, that's okay. So I hope you understand what is mindlessness. So instead of being mindless, okay, we should be mostly on our like you can be like this. Like, see, look at this picture. This is a man. This is us right in the middle. Okay, we are in the present. You can be very much in the present physically, but mentally you can either swing back to the past or you can swing to the future. They say that our mind is like a monkey which swings from branch to branch. You know, because why? Because we are people who crave for things that interest us. You know, boring things like, you know, eating food or maybe brushing your teeth. It's not something so interesting. So they think about something that is of interest. Maybe some regret that they have, or maybe something they did in the past, maybe some rough past they had and it is still not healed, you know. So often people who live in the past are those people who have some unfinished business, which they have not, you know, sorted off. And those who are in the future are those who are, you know, not satisfied with what they have right now. So basically, I'm not saying that you should not think about the past or you should not think in the future. Only thing is, like, we should not dwell in our past. Okay, because it is not in our hands anymore. It is history, like how we all know, right? The past is history, the future is a mystery, and the present is a gift. So it is only in this present that we have some control over. We have no control over what has happened, and we can't do anything about it, and we can't do anything about our future. So basically, it's about thinking like a child. How does a child behave, you know? Have you seen the child acting like, you know, they do something, they finish a task, they go to the next task because they lose interest. I think everybody with children will agree with me. I have two children with me, so they always get bored. They keep telling me, Mama, I'm bored, I'm bored. So I feel amazed. How can they be bored so fast? So as adults, we are also a bigger version of children, actually. We also have this tendency of, so if I share one of my favorite songs with you, maybe you would not listen to it because it is not of interest to you. So even in the selection of our books, in our music, in everything, we have a personal choice. Why? Because every person is different. So we can, you know, we move from, you know, our state of mind based on our level of interest and how mindful we are. So maybe if you're reading one of your, you know, a book that you like, I'm sure you'll be very mindful. But if you're reading something about, say, rocket science or something you don't like to know about, probably you would not even read a line. You would just leave the book there and close it. So mindfulness is all about being aware. Okay. So if you define what mindfulness is, you can say it is being aware and paying attention to the present moment with purpose. Okay, with a sense of purpose. They say that we do a lot of things, but we should know why we are doing these things, not simply do it in a mechanical manner, you know. So, and without any judgments. If you judge that this is good or this is bad, or, you know, so just take life as it as it comes. And it is basically to free yourself from the past and to stop worrying about the future. And it helps you to look within you and living in the present. So as easy as it sounds, I know it is not that easy, because as I told you, we are like a monkey. We keep, you know, moving back and forth. And me, I am also no exception. I'm also just like anybody here who has this tendency of going to the past, especially in this pandemic situation. All we can do is think of the things that we used to do, the times we had fun. I always I ruminate over the things we used to do in the past, right? Because all those are, I'm not saying that we shouldn't, you know, go to the past, but it's just like holding on to this glass of water. Just imagine if I ask you, what is the weight of this glass with the water? Can anybody tell me?
Maybe 100 ml, 200 ml. That's
Okay.
it.
So if I hold it with my hand, okay, with just one hand, I hold it for, say, 10 seconds. It's not going to make any difference. But if I hold it for, say, 1 minute or 2 minutes, what is
It
going to
starts
happen?
feeling heavier.
Yeah. So the more I hold it, the weight of this glass is not going to increase. It is because of the time, the duration for which I'm holding this, that is making an impact. If I hold it for a whole day, I'm sure I'm going to have my hand paralyzed because I'm not going to take it. So how do you think that if you can't hold a glass of water, you're going to hold on to these regrets, these grudges, these, you know, pain or any sort of hurtful feelings? If you don't let go of it, it is going to be as bad as this. So just to give you a small, you know, idea, I hope these are just small reminders, nothing new, nothing novel. And the whole idea of, you know, mindfulness, I forgot to tell you, is nothing new. It is a century-old thing. During the time of, I think, Buddha had proposed this. And this has been on from a very long time, but now the relevance is still there. Okay. And basically, mindfulness is a tool for self-awareness and for self-transformation, and also a stress management tool. So that is why I felt like sharing this with you. So basically, what do you do when you're mindful? You become aware of yourself, your body, your environment, your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. So maybe you're just doing some action very mindlessly, and it's not doing anything to achieve your goal. So if you're not mindful about it, it's not going to help. Now, have you seen some people who are really addicted to something? They have some addictive behaviors. For example, I used to have patients who used to come with tobacco addiction, and the most difficult part is that they are not willing to accept that they have a problem. So the first step to solving a problem is to accept that you have a problem. Without being aware of your problem, how can you even start solving it? So it all comes from awareness, and awareness at the same time acceptance also. Because if you're in constant denial, if you keep saying that I have no problem, it's like you are diagnosed with cancer and then the doctor tells you this, and then you say no, it's not true, and you will not cooperate with the treatment. I'm just giving you some examples. So similarly, if you have a problem, the first step is to accept it, to be aware of it, and then to accept it, and to to take action accordingly. So basically, this is the different characteristics of being a mindful person. You should have a beginner's mind. Look at things from a child's perspective. When a child sees something for the first time, how much of curiosity the child has. Okay, when they see the flight flying, they say, "Mama, look at the flight. It's so beautiful." But when we see it, it's like another day. Nothing so great. You should have the curiosity. You should be non-judgmental. This is something that is very difficult for us, especially in these times. We are constantly acting like judges. We see something, even before asking the person, we judge them for who they are, who is it they are, or whatever. So these things are just making you more and more of, it's adding on to you're not being mindful. So and I told you about letting go with that example, and having an acceptant attitude, to be accepting of what it is that. I'm not saying that you should only be, there is a small myth about mindfulness. Some people say that it is all about thinking positively. No, it is about accepting the good and the bad. There is nothing like only saying, taking the positive and throwing away the negative. No, even the negative aspects, if you can embrace them, if you can accept them, if you can, sort of allow them to happen instead of simply avoiding it. Have you noticed, if you don't like somebody, and if they come in front of you, you feel very uncomfortable. Why? Because you're trying to avoid them, right? The more you try to avoid something, the more it becomes, I think it really haunts you, right? Something that you want to get away from your mind, that keeps on coming into your mind. So it's a very funny thing that happens with our brain. So this is what happens when you become mindful. You become more aware of yourself and your environment. You start living in the present moment, and you can view the thoughts. As I told you, when you did the ice-breaking session, I asked you if you had any passing thoughts. So Deepa was telling me that she had a lot of thoughts. It could be like, she has a session after this and things like that. And you can turn off your autopilot mode and try to experience the things directly. So when you're eating your food, when you're drinking your coffee, experience the coffee, not just drink your coffee. Don't gulp it down. Smell. It's such a beautiful smell. Just by getting into a coffee shop, I believe that your stress is complete. I personally feel like that. So they say, good. I think in cooking they say, first you eat the food with your nose, not with your mouth. Why is it said like that? Because the experience starts much before you start eating. So there is a lot of, so mindfulness is not something that you sit and meditate. You can be mindful in each and everything you do. So instead of avoiding situations and avoiding things that you don't like, approach it. It is like there's somebody behind the curtain, and you always think that I don't want to look at it. If I open the curtain and see, I'm going to get scared. But mindfulness means pull away the curtain and look at it, face it, instead of simply being in an avoidant state of mind. So let us look at the benefits. Now you might be thinking, okay, even if I become mindful, what am I going to get? You will have a better well-being. Overall, your overall well-being improves. And because of that, your physical well-being also improves. Many studies have shown that it improves your blood, it can reduce a lot of heart diseases, a lot of gastrointestinal problems, and a lot of physical ailments can be cured. And even insomnia, those who don't have proper sleep, that is a big problem. It can also be because, as I told you, while you're going to sleep, the kind of thoughts that come in. So if you take a decision, if you choose to be mindful, it's a matter of choice, basically. Okay, because actually, what happens in life, only 10% is what happens to you. The rest, 90% is how you respond to your life. So it is a choice. So if you choose to be mindful, you can also improve your mental well-being as well. So there is something called mental immunity, right? That you get depressed, you get stressed, all because you allow yourself to be stressed. It is not because your situations are bad. Because if that was the case, you would not have a lot of people who are successful. All those people, if you see their success stories, like say Oprah Winfrey, she had said a very beautiful quote which says that breathe, let go, and remind yourself that this very moment is the only one you have for sure. So she's one of my, I'm a big fan of hers, and I always feel if you look at her life journey, it wasn't so rosy. It was not a bed of roses for her. But she realized that the power is there in the moment and not in the future, not in the past. So overall, you can overcome your mental, you can be more immune to all these kind of situations, and it improves your sleep because you are focusing on your sleep. You're not focusing on any other thing that you cannot control. So when you're thinking about something, just think about that. Don't, of course, your thoughts will wander, but try to bring it back to the present. This is what we can do. And it makes you more happier and appreciative, and improves your productivity. Because obviously, as I told you, I said, no, almost 46.9% of the time, you don't pay attention when you're doing a task. So imagine if you're an employer and you have an employee who is not very mindful, what kind of, what do you expect? What kind of an output do you expect from such an employee? So if you want, to get the best out of your potentials, you should be mindful. So this is what happens when you're mindful. You become more self-aware. It improves your social awareness. It improves your emotional balance. And the best part is that you will be great at relationship management. So if you are a mindful person, you can be mindful in your parenting. You can be a mindful, you can be a mindful partner. So if I am a mindful partner, if my husband comes late from office, I can either be reactive or I can be responsive, and I can be proactive. So if I'm a mindful person, I will think of the fact that I might find reasons to sort of make sense of the situation instead of simply reacting on the fact that he's late. Okay, so I think overall, if you see, if I'm a mindful parent, if my child is coming to me with some, if I'm already tensed, okay, and if my child approaches me, if I'm not a mindful person, I will not be able to respond in a good manner. So basically, there is a lot of things about mindful parenting and all that. So I'm not going to all that. So let us look at the techniques. Okay, this is the part where I would like to again bring your attention to. There are different ways why you can be mindful. As I told you, even listening to music that you love, reading a good book, something as simple as writing a to-do list, right? But instead of doing a to-do list, you can do the opposite. I would like to suggest that you do something like, I did this today list. Instead of focusing on what you did not do, let us focus on what I did do, right? If supposing I had a plan to do the laundry completed today and I could not do it. So when I sleep, I'm going to sleep on a negative note. Oh, I did not do it. Or maybe I want to do something, I wanted to complete something and I did not do it. Instead, why don't I write, I finished this, I finished that. And that makes me feel better. So it is a reverse list. It's a sort of reverse to-do list. Okay. So that's another technique. And you can do regular journaling, writing down your feelings. And these are other things that you can do. One is mindful meditation. There are different methods like body mapping, body scanning. I'm sure you'll find a lot of links on YouTube which will help you to do that. Because if I do this right now, it's going to take the whole session. So mindful breathing, yes, we could do it right now. And mindful eating, as I told you, like you can see here. See, when you're eating a strawberry, you can feel the texture, feel the smell. It's so beautiful. Just by watching the picture, I feel like having a strawberry. So, and you can have a mindful walk. When you go for a walk, instead of just simply walking and thinking about something else, every step you take, you could think, you can feel In fact, you can walk bare feet. When you walk bare feet, you can feel the, what do you call it? It's basically getting all your senses involved in whatever you're doing. That is the bottom line. And how do you do it? You have to stop, look, listen, and feel, right? So these are the steps that you should be doing when you are trying to be present. So let us do a small activity. With this, I'm going to finish my session. All right. Hope things have been, I just gave you a small idea. I know it's not in detail, but let's just do this small activity with your permission. Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I want you to do let's do some breathing exercise, which you can do like anytime you feel like you're being so emotionally drained or your energy is being so, you need some recharge. You need to unplug yourself, sometimes. Have you seen some appliances when you unplug and when you plug it again, it works better. Similarly, these things you can do whenever you feel like you need a break, okay? So let's just try it. I want you to take your seat and, really be aware of be very relaxed and sit in a very comfortable position. And I want you to close your eyes. And before you close your eyes, when I say 1, I want you to inhale through your nose, okay? And when I say 2, you should hold your breath for a few seconds. And when I say 3, you should exhale, all right? Okay. And when you inhale, I want you to feel your belly will be, it will be inflated. So I want you to feel when I say 1, inhale, 2, hold, 3, exhale through your mouth, okay? So is it okay? Everything is fine?
Right.
So we'll start. So just close your eyes and be relaxed and relax your muscles. And 1, inhale. 2, hold your breath. And 3, exhale. You can do it for 2-3 times. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. So this is called belly breathing, okay? This is also called mindful breathing. So this actually helps you to get, all the oxygen gets into your lungs more easily. Because have you seen the babies breathing when they are put to sleep? Their bellies will start, you can see them moving up and down. And they're the best, they breathe the best, the right way. We all somehow out of our habit don't know how to breathe. Maybe those who do yoga will be doing it fine. But normally, my yoga instructor had told me that we're all doing it wrong. So the problem is that we're not, getting full oxygen into our lungs. So this is what it helps in reducing our stress also. And the second thing I would like to tell you is another activity. With this, we're going to wind it up. Now, I want you to just focus on any 2 things that you can see other than the screen of your laptop or your phone. I want you to look somewhere away from all this, and I want you to focus on any 2 things that you can see right now. I want you to, supposing, say, I'm looking at this pen, I'm looking at every detail as I can, and just focusing on it. I'll give you some time. Focusing on any 2 things that you can see that is around you. Don't have to move from your place. Any 2 things. All right. Next, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to listen very carefully. And I want you to tell me, I want you to feel any 2 sounds that you can hear. Any 2 sounds. I want you to be very careful, even the slightest of sound that you had been missing all this time. Maybe the birds chirping, or it can be anything very insignificant that it was as of till now. But if you just pay attention, you can hear very, any sound that you can hear. I just want you to pay attention and I want you to experience that sound. Not my voice, other than my voice. Okay, now keep your eyes closed. I want you to feel any 2 things that you can feel. It can be your dress, it can be your table or anything. I want you to feel the texture, and the smoothness or the hardness or whatever it is. I want you to feel. It can be even your hand or something. I just want you to be aware of what you can feel at this point. It can be anything near you. And I want you to focus on any one thing that you can smell, any smell that you're getting. It could be the tea that you're having right now, or anything, any one smell that you can notice at this point. Okay. So if you're done, you can open your eyes. Okay. So how many of you could actually experience it, or was it successful? How did you feel?
Except for the smell, I could relate to everything, all the senses.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Anybody
same
else?
here. For me as well, I couldn't get any smell as specific, but yeah, sound and feeling of touch. Yeah,
What was the sound
everything
you
else.
heard? What was the sound you could you just share
I
that?
had heard the fan swirling up above me, so basically it was a minute sound, but yeah, when I focused, I could hear it.
Normally, when you do this, you can take more time because of the time limits. I just have to cut it off fast. So when you do it
Yeah.
in your free time, you can maybe give more time and more focus, and that will make you more, I think, refreshed. Anybody else would like to share? Anuradha, I think you joined late. Were you able to do it? You're muted. I'm sorry, you're muted. Please unmute yourself. I can't hear you, Anuradha. You're muted. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, I had joined, but it's a good session,
Thank you.
and I could hear. Yeah, thank you. When I closed my eyes, I could hear my own breathe. Like I had a very good feeling of my breathe, like breathing in, breathing out. I could feel the sound, and of course, I had kept cooker in my kitchen, so I could hear the whistle too.
Okay.
And I
Yes.
could smell the kanda smell too. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So how do you feel? Again, Arun sir, can you tell me how you felt?
I felt really good because I started focusing more inside me. It's always like I focus in my mind, but I started focusing on my inner soul, I should say. I used to do it earlier, but of late, when work schedule comes, I'm not able to do that. And except for, let's say, emotional balance aspect, which you had shown in the slide, the other aspects I'm able to cover in terms of mindfulness. So that is one area where I have to, because while empathizing with someone or while dealing with a situation, at times I go out of control in terms of managing my emotions. It could be probably a result of the frustration which I have in terms of, I could be focusing on completing one task and going to the other. But because of somebody else's fault, every second that I'm losing, I tend to get frustrated. So I think that is one area I'm taking as a key learning from your session, where I'm going to focus more on emotional balance while dealing with relationships. Second part would be like, as you said, when I saw, I have this picture of a Buddha in front of me. And the second thing which I observed was Lady Velankannin Kundana ഒരു ചെറിയ idol, which was given to me by one of my mentee. Other Anduani Pentanera. So I was actually focusing on that. They are always there. But I today, when you ask me to observe it carefully, it is true. I started noticing the peace in the face of Buddha, as well as Mother Mary, focus. We could actually feel that peace. So we don't have to be peaceful inside, but looking at a peaceful face, it could be like, let's say, some people find their pet, like a dog or a cat, when they see them, they get very excited and they are able to relax, probably because these animals are at peace and they don't have worry which doesn't display on their face. And that actually relaxes you. When you asked me to hear the sound, I had a combination. I heard crow, outside, which was evening, probably a couple of crows are there outside, and I could hear the traffic. I could hear both nature and the city traffic which is around me. You asked me to feel. I felt the wind touching my skin from the fan. I also felt my table. Even though I keep my hand, this time when I consciously tried touching it, I could make out that it has small grains on it. So that texture became more obvious. Smelling part, yes, I always love my coffee. So when we consciously do something, as you said, it becomes more special for us. And thanks a lot for bringing that focus within me.
Yes, so thank you for sharing all those wonderful inputs. And as Mother Teresa said, be happy in the moment. That's enough. Each moment is all we need and not more, right? So this is not a new concept, basically. This is nothing novel. I am not bringing out some new theory here. Everybody knows this. This is just a very humble and a reminder for all of us, for me, myself also. Because as Arun sir very rightly said, we are very busy in our lives. And it is not difficult to practice mindfulness, but it's the only thing that we need a constant reminder. We need somebody to remind us. So if we forget, we can tell our partner to just remind me. If when I get out of, as was said, like, I'm not getting an emotional balance. Even I think I also have a problem with that. Telling my experience, because sometimes we get at the edge, we feel in the edge or something. We feel, because now very unpredictable times. So everybody is in a very, roller coaster ride. Everybody is having a sort of, mixed emotions going on. So just by practicing mindfulness, it can just remind you of those things that we take for granted, and it can just make us more thankful for every moment that we have. And I feel when I always want to ask, I just want to ask you, what are the two things that you see that are common in a child and a person who is diagnosed with terminal illness? Anything that you find common between a child and a person with terminal illness?
Live up every moment.
Yes, exactly. So when you see children, I think they should inspire you to do that. And whenever you see people who are ill like that, they'll always tell you, see, I'm not even bothered about whether I'm going to die tomorrow or something. And always remember that people who died today had plans for tomorrow. So it's not about, how much you live. It's about living each moment. And when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and that's it. You don't have to get the best in life, but you can make the best out of your life. So I think that's all about this. And I hope you can have something to take away back. And I hope I wasn't boring you. Anyway, thank you all. And I hope you can practice this one. At least give some time, in a day, maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes of doing this exercise that I just did with you. There are several other things. Just in this limited time, this is all I could share with you. So thank you. If you have any doubts, it's okay. I could. Anyone wants to do some sharing also, it's okay. Yeah.
Please share your feedback on this. How did you find the session?
I think all of us should know, because we live very fast lives. So we need to spend some time on this every day, so that we can, like, even at work, we can go get more concentration in what we are doing. And this actually kind of helps you to clear your clutter inside your brain. All that stuff going on at work, back at home, back with parents, siblings, everything. Too many things keep going on in your brain, and sometimes you cannot just do it. So this kind of helps you. Right now, actually what I felt was, I felt like I had to, when I was concentrating on my breathing, I had to make an effort to breathe. It was like actually I was doing it manually. Things like this make you more aware of what's happening around you, and it kind of helps you to choose what you want to concentrate on.
Exactly.
It was very good. Thank you very much. It was very nice.
Thank you, Victor.
It will help a lot.
Advocate Nelson?
Yes. Yeah, Fahiba, it was good session. I have a doubt on this. Somewhere I had heard, or I was thinking, mindfulness is not. It's more related to observing our thoughts,
Yes.
or observing what exactly going in our minds. That is a true awareness. So now we are talking about the something more close to concentration. When we are doing something, you should be more aware about what exactly happening. Suppose while we are walking, we are aware about walking. While we are travel, suppose what we discussed today is, suppose if you are driving, you should aware that we are driving and we should be very careful and we are on that process. But somewhere it is heard like, suppose if you are driving, some thoughts are coming. What exactly I'll be happening in my office, and all those thoughts are happening. But on an autopilot mode, we are driving also because we are used to that. So mindfulness is something beyond that. We are aware about all the thoughts which are happening at the time of our driving. But simultaneously, by autopilot mode, the primary thing is also happening. It is as usual. It is also happening. So it is something beyond just concentration. That kind of just thought about such a thing.
It is not just paying attention only. It is like a sort of, I told you, right? It's a self-awareness sort of. It's more about self-awareness and introspection, looking inside within you, because that's often, because there are I think we all tell stories to ourselves, right? We all have an inner voice that speaks to us. So being aware of that voice, okay, that I would say is the gist of everything. We all have an inner voice, right? Maybe we might be saying a lot of niceties to others, like, when someone says, "How are you?" "I'm fine." But actually, are we telling them how we actually feel? How many of us actually do that? So it is the inner voice that we are trying to be mindful of. And if you're mindful of that, then I think that's more than enough. And if you're running away from that inner voice, that is when we have a problem. And that is why people come for counseling sessions, because they are not able to deal with their inner voice. And to have a very objective perspective about yourself. Like they say, if you want to understand yourself, look at you from another person's perspective. That is, step out of yourself and think that if I was a friend, if you had a friend like me, how would I be? Things like that. Because when you think as a person, you think it as a matter of, like, from a subjective point of view, you will be always biased, right? You will always think that I'm right. How can I be wrong? So when you think from an objective perspective, then only you can identify where you're going wrong. So it is all about accepting for who it is that you are, and not simply avoiding it or having some sort of aversion towards the reality. I think that is the gist of it. And as you said, all of this is part of mindfulness, being concentrating on, what you're doing, being involved in what you're doing things with a purpose in mind. Okay, that is the whole thing. So what Nelson said is also part of mindfulness, but overall, I think the objective is to be aware of that inner voice inside you and listen to it, and not just act mindlessly. That's it. Working with some purpose in mind. I think I don't know. Maybe Arun, sir, you want to add something?
Faima and Nelson. See, as Nelson was telling, when we keep doing our regular stuff like driving and all, our mind is doing a couple of things. As you said, multitasking. So I would like to put it in this perspective that mindfulness should not be happening on the conscious mind. It should happen in the subconscious mind. We should train ourselves to put it as a subconscious mind. So let me tell you an example. I practice it like that. When I take my shower, okay, that is the time when I get my brainwaves. That is when I get brilliant ideas coming to me. So as you said, the autopilot mode, taking the mug of water or using the shower is something which will automatically come to me. Okay, I will not be having that in the conscious mind. It is happening in the subconscious level, and in my conscious mind at that point, I will be focusing on something more productive, maybe how I want to plan my day and stuff like that. And opposite of this happens a lot with some of my trainees. Some ladies who have told me that when they're driving a car, nothing else can be heard or seen. There may be people talking sitting next to them, but their entire focus is on the road, and they are not able to focus on anything else. This happens because you are doing something which is more of mechanical. At the same time, you have to have your mental focus also on the road. It's a skill which is a bit more advanced than just taking a shower, where things are more in your control. On a road, a lot of things are not in your control. But even then, you can still make driving a part of your subconscious mind. That is, just like we take control of our body and our brain, we say that we can control our subconscious mind. Similarly, the extension of our body at that point becomes the car that we are driving. All right. So you can take control of the car in your subconscious mind. And rather than putting it in the forefront, if you are able to do the reverse, I think what Nelson said will happen. For people who are able to do that, driving the car is always there. It is there, an active process which you are doing, but it is happening in a subconscious level. You will be able to see a person coming towards the road, and you will automatically apply brakes. You will not have to, jerk, and you will not have to focus. But at the same time, your active mind, the conscious mind, will be focused on probably something more productive. So I was not like this earlier. I couldn't do that. But over a period of time, after practicing, and now when it's for the first time that I'm attending a session on mindfulness, and I'm really happy that Fahima, whom I had trained probably 10 years ago, 9 years ago, is now here, and she has coached me on this particular topic, where I have done this on, let's say, trial and error method within myself, but I'm really happy to get that there is a process, and I'm able to understand the fundamentals which I'm able to keep and follow from now on. All right. Thanks a lot for that. Nelson, I hope this answers, or do you have any other idea to this?
I don't. I was just. It's okay. That is one perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. I was just mindfulness is sometimes. I was thinking it is beyond mind. So mindfulness is not what is exactly happening with the mind. It's beyond mind, and we are observing what is exactly happening in our minds. So we can't control our thoughts. We can't control what exactly comes to our mind. It may pop up at any time. Even while talking, some other things may come our mind. But the crucial thing is we should be aware about the thoughts which are coming at each moment, and we can without carried away by each thought. So that is more of I think make sure you are aware about all the thoughts, but should not let it carry away other thoughts.
Yeah, being aware of all the thoughts and giving priority to the thoughts, that I think is what will make our life more successful. Because as you said, some people may be attending a session and they are focused on somewhere else. So they may not be immediately focusing on what is there in front of them. The thought which they have, it is possible that a person who is sitting in a session might be worried about their parent who is admitted in the hospital. So, their mind might give more priority to the person admitted in the hospital than the session that they are attending. So in this case, again, there are it's a fight between the priorities which happen. So I think it's all about finding a balance within yourself. When you don't get triggered by an external source, I believe that is when you attain the beginning of mindfulness. For example, I think that is one of the reasons that Fahima made us do in the beginning the activity of closing our eyes and focusing on our breathing. And then she asked, how many of you had different other thoughts coming? Many of us had, apart from focusing on the breathing, we had a lot of other thoughts which were coming. So that was a realization point that we are not the master of our mind. We are not able to tame the mind and make the mind focus on what is the immediate priority. The second aspect or the second phase of mindfulness or the mastery of mindfulness will be about juggling a couple of things, where, as I told you, the subconscious mind level processing and the conscious level processing of things can happen. Fahima, your thoughts? You're supposed to answer Nelson on that. Anything else to add?
No, I think as you rightly said in the beginning, I gave that session, that icebreaker, because I wanted to make you aware that it's a human tendency to have our thoughts wander around. It will be all over the place. Even if you're doing something, like it always happens with I think who doesn't have it? Everybody has such a moment in whenever you're doing something. Maybe it is so interesting, yet there will be some point where you sort of drift away. So at that time, how to bring your attention back? So it is an art that you have to master, and it's just like a muscle. You have to keep practicing it. It is not something that comes naturally to you. You have to keep practicing it. It's just like you have a glass full of filthy water, supposing, and if I put some good water into it, If I just put little water, it's not going to make any difference. It's just going to be part of that. I have to add on so much that the filthy water outflows and the good one stays in. So it's up to me. And there's a very good example, I think, given in some mythology or some, I just read it, like there are two wolves in our body. One is the positively oriented and one is the negatively oriented. So the one that you feed, that is what is going to grow. Does not mean that you should totally kill the negative oriented wolf. That is also there. Keep it to sleep, don't feed it much, don't let it grow, and try to nurture and make your, the other one, the positive wolf, grow and, nurture it. And when these thoughts come up, so in the beginning when I did that icebreaker, I'm sure those people who had thoughts were trying to bring focus back. No, you should not think about that. Let's think about this, right? We have that inner voice that is speaking to us. Maybe like when we do our prayers also, I think, when we all have different ways of praying, irrespective of any religion. So while we are praying also, we have a moment when we are looking at our, the spot where, for us Muslims, we pray, we put our mat and we pray. But there are times when we think of other things. So what is for dinner? What is for lunch? Okay. So I'm in front of God, supposedly, and still I think of these things. So, but God is all forgiving. And so just after our prayers, we say, God, forgive me for this. And what am I saying forgiveness for? Because I know that God knows that my thoughts are not in my control. So this is, as Nelson said, it is the truth. It is the reality. But accepting it and not being a slave of our thoughts. We are trying to be a master of our thoughts. Trying to. It is not that we can be 100%. It's like 60-40 sort of, Right. You can be 60%, what do you say, autopilot, and 40% if you are being mindful, it is good enough. I'm not saying that you can be 100% mindful, because if it is 100%, I think you're Buddha then. That's not possible. We are not Buddha. So let us accept that, and be very, what is humanly possible that we can do. So that is why I gave you that activity in the beginning, so that we understand that, see, it is very human that we all have wandering thoughts. I told you, as a study has shown, 46.9% of the time our thoughts are wandering. So we can't do anything about it. And I think that is how we become creative. If these thoughts did not wander, you would not, it is also good actually in a way. I would say these are, the basic things that make humans how they are. So we can't actually deny that, but instead of avoiding and denying it, let's accept it and face it. Right. So that is the whole thing. I hope it answers the question.
Yeah. Humans are the only living being which have this imagination and thought process. No other animal can think. They are not scared or worried about tomorrow. They cannot think of stupid ideas. They cannot think about creating a TV. They cannot think about inventing a vaccine. They just don't have the thought process for that. They are only at that level of evolution, but humans are able to think. So rather than running away from the power, the superpower that we have of our thought, we should focus on mastering the thoughts so that we are able to control it to a large extent. All right. So let's hear a couple of more feedback before we wind up. I think we are overshooting time, so I don't want to wait, count the commitment which was taken. I would like to stick to Dr. Ashika. Yeah, Adya, go ahead.
Yeah, basically what I understood, and this was a really good opportunity to refresh my thoughts of being mindful. I've always understood mindful as, as being in the moment, as of now, right? And if mindful is what I mean, if I'm listening to this conversation right now, so I'm thinking about that. I am in the moment. So that being in the moment, and the screen also shows that, be happy in the moment, and that's enough. And each moment is all we need, not more. So that reminds me of a, of a rhyme, or not even a rhyme. I think it was a song that we used to have. And the song was something like this, the time to be happy is here. The time to be happy is now. And the place to be happy is here. And the way to be happy is to make someone happy and make a little heaven right here. So basically, in simple words, I would say that mindfulness is now. So whatever it is, whether it is your thought, your emotion, your doing, your thinking, whether of the past, because, as beings, we will think about the past. We cannot get away with it, right? So I would say that even if I'm thinking of the past, I would do it mindfully and think about the past, for that particular moment, and then move on knowingly to my next step or whatever next I have to go on. So to me, simply, I understood mindfulness as in the moment, as now. So and thanks, Faima, for bringing it back, because as everyone says, we all know it, but we keep getting off track, and then opportunities like this, they push us back, and it is a good way to be. Yeah, thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Adya. Anyone else? You want to share your thoughts? Anija?
Srija has not said anything, I think.
Yeah.
Over you.
Anija, Anija is on mute, and even Srija is not on mute.
I'm not on mute.
Yeah, so yeah, I just agree on whatever you said and what Adya just said. Like, these are not things that we have not already known about. We all know it at some levels, but we just don't apply it, when you need it. So it's always good of someone like Faima reminding us about these things. So yes, we're like, yeah, it's actually easy. We can put it to use. So it's a good thing. So I totally agree on what she said and Adya said.
Great. Srija?
Yeah, I'm here. And this was a very mini refresher to my inner engineering, where, a small exercise that they gave us on day one. They said they wanted us to be aware of every moment that day. So as I walked back after the session, we noticed the dog, Chuma lying on the street, what I was chewing, what I was swallowing. And at the end of the day, I realized I did not have a minute to worry. And when I went in for inner engineering, I was a royal mess, to say the least. But that was one day I did not worry. Why? Because I was fully aware, or I was fully in the moment, each moment. Why? Because, I was instructed to do that, and we were asked to do nothing else but that for that particular day. So that was, and another key takeaway was, as I talk to all of you now, the realization that this particular moment can be only like this. If I'm talking to Arun, if I'm listening to Faima, there's no other way I can change this moment. So accepting that, and the definition of responsibility being put forward as the ability to respond, where you open up and you respond to everything. Now, whether you react or not is a choice, but you should be responsive. So where all your walls are broken down, and you're a very receptive person. So Faima's, though I did admire her beauty once in a while, I kept thinking how pretty she is. But the rest of the time I tried to tell, no, I must listen to what she's saying. Faima, I was looking forward to this, and I just finished my work and I crashed in between. Thank you so much. This was a big reminder. And when you asked me to breathe, my sinus actually opened up. So that's when, this was my me time. I've been slogging from morning. This, half an hour, 40 minutes with all of you was my me time, and that was really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Very good. Anyone else? Anuradha? Victor? Victor has said, right? Yeah. Unmute whoever wants to speak. Ashika, you can wait, please, till the last. Okay, so Ashika, let's wind up the session. Actually, we have overshot the time. So being the moderator of AGOP, I would like you to put across your feedback on this, and at the same time, give her an official thank you note from AGOP.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank Fahima for, as many have mentioned it already, it was a beautiful session. It was a reminder. First thing which I want to tell is, it is very hard to accept, to have the reality check. It is all about balancing between the priorities and to stay at the right moment, which is very difficult, as you mentioned, but as humans, we can try. So a big thanks for Fahima and all the people who said also, because they all contributed. I started learning many things about mindfulness, actually, not only from Fahima. Many of you have actually contributed to my learning list. It is not to-do list from now onwards. I always make to have to-do list, because I'm a person who actually forgets many things to do. Even though I put to-do list, I even forget to check the to-do list.
Yeah.
So it will be I did list from today onwards. So I really love to listen to Fahima for more sessions. And as a moderator and as a part of AGOP, I thank all of you on behalf of AGOP for coming up and contributing to the positivity ocean, I should say. It is not a jar, or it is not a glass actually, it has now become an ocean.
The
So thank you
biggest
so
glass,
much.
biggest glass possible.
Yeah, biggest glass. It is
Biggest test glass.
Yeah. And Adya, thank you so much for that lovely shot. I
Oh, yeah.
enjoyed it.
Thank you to all to bear with me.
So thank you once
right.
again.
This was a unique experience today, today's session, because normally in positivity sessions that we have a lot of fun also. But for the first time, we actually did a session where we were completely focused on learning part itself.
Yeah.
I'm completely happy avoiding that fun part that we had actually planned up, because I'm sure that we have got much more than that. A lot of positivity has come in, all of us. And Fahima, thanks a lot. Till now, last time we introduced Joanne to take a session, but I recorded, but I did not share the recording, because I felt, if we keep sharing the recording, the participation might reduce. But this time I feel I'm gonna share the recording to show to people what they are gonna miss in the future if they are not able to make time. So that is one big decision which I made, and all thanks to Fahima. You make me real proud of you. Thank you so much.
Honor, and
Alright.
I'm very happy.
So cheers, guys. Have a wonderful week. Hopefully we will have regular sessions like this, where we will have a combination of hardcore learning and a bit of musty also, so that we take back and keep our positivity at the top, the peak level. All right. Take good care, stay safe, and God bless.
Yeah. Bye-bye, everyone. Good to see you all.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Looking forward for the next.
Okay.